What if the absolute most dangerous thing you could possibly do on a pickleball court is to try and hit a clean, blistering winner into the wide open court?
I mean, it sounds completely backwards, right?
Yeah.
Because hitting it where the opponent isn't, that's like the golden rule of almost every racket sport ever invented.
Right, which is exactly why today's deep dive is going to challenge just about everything you thought you knew about high-level play. So, welcome in.
Yeah, excited to get into this one.
Our mission today for you, the listener, is to really unpack a completely different tactical architecture for advanced players. We're pulling from Lev Nemotin, specifically his work on the Uncompressed Thinking YouTube channel.
Which is a fantastic resource, by the way.
Oh, absolutely. And we're also looking at his general pickleball game guide, but we're going to lean really heavily into one specific tactical manual today, which is the Speed Drive Guide. Single blow speed drive.
Right, and just to set the stage, this is essentially a new training regimen designed to give advanced players a really lethal finishing weapon.
Yeah, and Nemotin's whole philosophy here, it really just turns conventional court wisdom on its head. I mean, what's the standard advice everyone hears drilled into them every weekend?
Oh, it's always, don't hit hard or be patient, soften the game up, just dink until they make a mistake.
Exactly. The default assumption is that speed and power are inherently reckless.
Yeah, but Nemotin introduces this core premise that completely reframes that dynamic. He basically argues that speed is not the opposite of careful play.
Okay, so what is it then?
Instead, speed is actually the reward for careful reading. It's the calculated punishment for an opponent's, careless softness.
I can already hear the traditionalists groaning, though, like about the rise of the banger. You know those players who step onto the court and just try to turn every single rally into a chaotic fistfight?
Right, just swinging as hard as they can at literally everything.
Yeah, so if we aren't just advocating for reckless banging here, what actually separates a sloppy hard shot from this single blow speed drive? Because honestly, to the untrained eye, hitting a ball incredibly hard just looks pretty much the same.
The distinction lies entirely in the underlying mental model. Like a typical banger operates like a machine gun.
Okay, machine gun.
Yeah, they just hold down the trigger, spraying the ball with maximum power from literally any position on the court,
Yeah.
just hoping sheer force will eventually overwhelm the defense.
Right, right.
But Nemotin's system, it's built around the mindset of a sniper.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, the mental model is a single, heavily disciplined trigger pull. It's a cold, calculated decision to release this planned, spin-shaped shot only when two very specific conditions are met.
Which are?
The ball gives you permission, and the opponent gives you permission.
So a mature speed drive player might actually reject like a dozen potential attacks before they finally take one.
Exactly. They're playing the softer game with absolute patience, looking completely harmless, until the exact microsecond a specific window opens.
Wow. So a speed drive without that ice-cold decision-making isn't really a weapon.
No, it's a liability.
Right.
I mean, the physical shot itself might be violent, but the tactical mind behind it has to be completely silent.
That's a fascinating psychological shift. But to understand how you actually execute that trigger, I think we need to look at the mechanics of the strike itself.
Definitely.
Because mastering this specific weapon requires borrowing from the DNA of a completely different sport, right? Table tennis.
Yeah, Nemotin is very upfront about the table tennis influence here. If you watch Olympic table tennis, you'll notice that spin is never just for decoration.
Right. It's not just some cute trick to make the ball bounce funny.
No, not at all. Spin provides the player's control, their trajectory, their deception, and really their violence, all wrapped into one explosive package.
And those exact same principles, like brushing the back of the ball, whipping the paddle head, achieving that late acceleration, they transfer directly to this pickleball speed drive.
100%. They transfer directly.
Let's think about the physics of that for a second. So if I take a flat pickleball paddle with zero angle and I just hit a plastic wiffle ball as hard as humanly possible,
Okay, yeah.
it's essentially like a baseball pitcher throwing a flat 85-mile-an-hour fastball right down the middle of the plate, right?
That's exactly what it is.
So if it clears the net, it's probably going to float like chest high right into my opponent's strike zone.
Right, and they don't even have to swing. They just hold their paddle up, borrow all of your flat pace, and punch it right back at your feet.
Or I guess because it has no spin to bring it down, that flat drive just sails, what, 3 feet out of bounds?
Yeah, happens all the time. But the table tennis DNA changes that entirely by introducing the topspin drive.
Okay, the top spin drive.
Right. So the paddle travels forward to generate pace, but crucially, it violently brushes upward through the back of the ball right at the moment of contact.
So sticking with the baseball analogy, instead of that flat fastball, you're basically throwing a nasty 12-6 curveball.
Exactly. The ball leaves your paddle incredibly fast, and to the opponent, it looks like it's going to sail high out of bounds.
But the topspin grabs the air.
Yes, the topspin grabs the air, and the ball suddenly just dives right at their knees.
Oh, wow. And that diving trajectory is the entire point, isn't it?
It is. It forces the opponent to make contact from a much lower, much less stable position. Like they have to hit up on the ball just to get it over the net, which usually results in a pop-up.
And the guide takes it a step further, too, with the side topspin drive.
Yeah, this is where it gets really advanced. Instead of brushing straight up the back of the ball, you brush diagonally.
So not only is the ball diving aggressively, but when it hits the court, it actually skids.
It skids, yeah. And even more devastating, when it hits the opponent's paddle, the rotational physics cause it to deflect off their paddle face at a totally unpredictable angle.
It's literally weaponized physics. That's wild.
Yeah.
But even with the perfect side topspin curveball, you mentioned earlier that the ball has to give you permission.
Right, the permission piece is huge.
You can't just unleash this shot because you feel like it. Moten breaks this decision-making process down into what he calls a traffic light system.
Yeah, that traffic light system. It's the tactical filter for that sniper's trigger we talked about.
Mhm.
You evaluate every incoming ball as a green light, a yellow light, or a red light.
Okay, so let's start with the green light. That's your absolute permission to attack, right?
Exactly. A green light means the ball is sitting up above your knees, preferably waist high.
Out in front of your body.
Yes, out in front. So you have the mechanical leverage to actually lean into it.
Mm.
And crucially, you notice your opponent is either moving forward, caught on their heels, or just reaching awkwardly.
And that's when you pull the trigger.
That's when you pull the trigger.
Okay, so what about the yellow light? That feels a bit murkier to me.
It is murkier. The ball is maybe slightly below the net tape, or it's jammed up a little too close to your body.
I feel like my instinct here would be to try and force the speed drive anyway.
And that is exactly how you lose points. A yellow light means you do not have the leverage for full violence.
So what do you do instead?
You rely on controlled roll drives. You use the top spin to apply pressure and keep the opponent pinned back, but you dial back the raw power. It's a setup shot, not a finishing shot.
Okay. That makes sense. And then we have the red light. I imagine this is where the game is really won or lost.
Oh, absolutely. A red light ball is below the net, or it's behind your body, so you're reaching backward.
Or, worst of all, the opponent is perfectly planted at the kitchen line, balanced, paddle up, just waiting for you.
Right. Moten is adamant here. On a red light, you force a reset or a drop. You never, ever attack a red light.
Yeah.
Never. Trying to blast a speed drive on a red light ball is like trying to pass a semi-truck on a inclined curve on a two-lane mountain highway.
That is a terrifying visual.
But it's true. You don't have the visibility, you don't have the momentum,
Right.
and a head-on collision is practically guaranteed. You aren't being aggressive, you're just handing the point away.
Yeah.
You have to pump the brakes and wait for a safer stretch of road.
Okay, so let's say I manage to pump the brakes. I wait for the perfect straightaway, and I finally get that juicy green light ball.
There.
My immediate impulse is going to be to look at all that beautiful empty real estate on the court and just blast my speed drive right into the open corner.
Which brings us back to that really provocative idea from the beginning of our deep dive. Against highly prepared, advanced players, the open court is actually a trap.
Wait, really? A trap?
Yes. If you aim for empty space, your shot requires a perfect zero-margin line. If you miss your target by 2 inches, the ball is out of bounds and you lose the point.
Because you are taking on 100% of the risk. So instead of aiming for where the opponent isn't, Moten's guide tells us to aim precisely where the opponent is.
Yes, he maps out this vertical target ladder on the opponent's body.
And just to be super clear here, safety is paramount. The face is completely off limits, right?
Oh, 100%. The face violates the rules of the target map entirely.
Okay, so where does the target ladder actually start?
It starts at the very bottom, aiming for the outside foot.
The outside foot, why there?
Well, if you hit a diving topspin drive at the outside foot of a player who is rushing forward, their brain just short circuits.
Really?
Yeah, it stops their forward momentum cold because they literally have to halt, shift their weight backward, and try to dig the ball out of their shoelaces.
Man, that's brutal. And he calls that one the foot hunter, right?
He does, yeah. Moten gives these strikes fantastic visceral names.
I love that. Okay, so moving up the ladder, we hit the paddle side hip, And he calls this the paddle pocket spear.
The paddle pocket spear, exactly. And the biomechanics of this one are just incredible.
Walk me through it.
Well, imagine a 60-mile-an-hour ball diving directly at your right hip, and the paddle is in your right hand. Your brain has this micro-panic.
Because it's too close to your body to fully extend your arm, right?
Right, so you're stuck thinking, do I slide left to take an awkward backhand? Do I contort my wrist to block it with a forehand?
And by the time their nervous system actually makes that decision, the ball has already hit them or deflected weakly off the edge of their paddle.
Exactly, it just jams them up completely.
Okay, so moving higher up the ladder, you have the shoulder or the armpit zone.
Ah, yes. This creates the dreaded chicken wing.
The chicken wing.
Yeah, when you drive a ball into the paddle side armpit, the defender's elbow gets pinned right against their ribs.
Which is an awful position to be in.
It is, because the human shoulder is biomechanically incredibly weak in that internal rotation posture. They literally cannot push back against the heavy topspin.
Wow, and then finally there's the middle seam between two partners, the seam splitter.
The seam splitter. And what's interesting here is that it's not really about threading the needle perfectly between them.
It's not.
No, it's about creating that classic doubles hesitation. You know, that, wait, is it yours or mine moment.
Oh, right, where both players either swing and clash paddles or they both just freeze and watch the ball sail past.
Exactly. And those colorful names, the foot hunter, the paddle pocket spear, they actually serve a vital cognitive function.
Like they help you remember them in the heat of the moment.
Yes. Under the extreme stress of a fast rally, you do not have time to think about degrees of angle. You just visualize paddle pocket spear, and your body executes a specific repeatable pattern.
That is so smart. But let's be real for a second. I can have the perfect paddle pocket spear dialed up. I can have the nasty table tennis topspin ready.
Sure.
But if I suddenly tense my shoulders, drop my stance, and draw my paddle way back like I'm licking my chops, a 5.0 player is going to read my body language, aren't they?
Immediately.
They'll have their paddle in position to block it before I even swing.
They will. And this transition from the mechanics of the stroke to the art of disguise is really where the system elevates from good to elite. Nemoten uses a brilliant phrase to describe this.
What's the phrase?
Same birth, different deaths.
Same birth, different deaths. I mean, that is a wildly dramatic phrase for a pickleball tactic.
It really is.
But it makes perfect sense. It's basically the ultimate poker tell.
Exactly like a poker tell.
Like if you're sitting at a casino table holding a pair of twos and you're slouched over looking bored, but the minute you peek at pocket aces, you sit up straight, your eyes get wide, and you grip your chips really tightly.
The entire table knows you have the goods. They all fold.
Right. So in pickleball, if you change your rhythm, like if you take a massive backswing or suddenly squeeze your grip, you've just shown the opponent your pocket aces.
You're leaking critical information. The highest level of disguise isn't about theatrical head fakes or looking one way and hitting the other.
So what is it about?
It's about profound sameness. Your soft dink, your defensive reset, your third shot drop, and your violent speed drive must all begin from the exact same physical posture.
So the paddle position is identical.
Identical. And your facial expression is completely neutral. Nemoten calls this specific maneuver the still face explosion.
The still face explosion, that's just the total absence of warning.
Total absence.
But maintaining a state of ordinary, boring readiness until the final millisecond before maximum acceleration, that goes completely against human instinct.
It really does.
Our bodies naturally want to wind up. We want to brace for impact. We want to grit our teeth and flex. So how do you actually train your nervous system to do something so deeply unnatural?
Well, you certainly won't figure it out casually hitting balls on a Sunday afternoon.
Right.
This is why Nemoten introduces a physical engine for this system, utilizing a compact resistance training tool called isotone.
Oh, right, the isotone. I've seen that featured heavily on the Uncompressed Thinking platform.
Yeah, and what's crucial to understand here is how this physical training completely departs from a standard gym workout.
Because, if I go to the gym and do heavy bicep curls, I'm training my nervous system to grind slowly through heavy resistance, right? I'm keeping the muscle under constant, sustained tension.
Right.
And I'm guessing that kind of slow grinding tension is the exact opposite of what the still face explosion requires.
That is literally the enemy of the speed drive. The physical rhythm you have to program into your nervous system with the isotone is totally different.
How does it work?
It's relaxed readiness, followed by a microsecond push-pull burst of violent acceleration, and then an immediate instant release back to zero tension.
So you train this specific neuromuscular firing pattern from a pickleball-ready posture.
Exactly.
And what about breathing? The breathing mechanics have to be a huge part of this, right?
Oh, huge.
Because if I'm holding my breath right before I strike the ball, it means my core is braced, my shoulders are tight, and I'm practically telegraphing the shot.
Yes, holding your breath acts as a massive anchor on your swing speed. You have to maintain normal rhythmic breathing, executing a very short, sharp exhale pulse during the burst of acceleration.
Ah, so that eliminates the stiffness.
Exactly. So the speed is sudden, fleeted, and completely invisible to the opponent.
Okay, I do have one major piece of pushback on this whole concept, though.
Let's hear it.
The guide is literally called the single blow speed grab. That name implies I pull the trigger, I hit my target, the ball explodes past them, and the point is over. One blow.
Right.
So why on earth does the training emphasize recovery so heavily? Like, why are we practicing dropping tension immediately after the shot?
Because admiring your own shot is the single most fatal error you can make in advanced pickleball.
Really?
Yes, yes. The tactical intention of the single blow is to end the rally instantly. But your nervous system, your feet, and your paddle must operate under the assumption that the ball is coming back.
Oh, I see.
And because you just injected a massive amount of pace and topspin into the rally, if they do manage to somehow block it, that ball is coming back at you twice as fast.
Wow, right. So if my momentum carries me off balance, or, my paddle drops down to my knees because I'm busy watching how awesome my paddle pocket spear looks.
A good opponent just sticks their paddle out, and the ball is past you before you can even blink.
That makes total sense.
Exactly why the isotone training drills that immediate release. The millisecond after impact, your paddle must snap back to a central defensive position, and your feet must recenter.
So you transition from lethal sniper back to a patient defender in a fraction of a second.
Yes, always ready for the counterattack.
Okay, so we put this all together. We have the table tennis mechanics, the traffic light decision-making, the vertical target ladder, the still face disguise, and the neuromuscular fast hands training.
It's a comprehensive system.
It really is. So if an advanced player commits to this regimen, how do they actually measure if it's working over the course of a long match?
You measure it by evaluating if the weapon is truly net positive.
Net positive, meaning what exactly?
Neymotin stresses that you cannot evaluate your game based on emotional highlight reels.
Oh, sure.
Like hitting one spectacular 70-mile-an-hour winner that makes everyone on the adjacent court stop and clap. That means absolutely nothing if you hit your next 4 speed drives straight into the net because you ignored a red light.
Right, right. So you have to look at the hard data.
Exactly. Tracking your landing percentages. Tracking how often your topspin actually forces the opponent to pop the ball up for an easy put away on the next shot.
The weapon basically has to win you mathematically more points than it loses you.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And what's truly brilliant about this entire system is the ultimate, almost hidden tactical benefit.
What's that?
Mastering the single blow speed drive does not mean you abandon your soft game. You don't stop dinking.
Right.
In fact, developing this lethal, heavily disguised speed drive makes your patient, soft game infinitely more dangerous.
Oh, because you've planted a seed of absolute terror in their minds.
You really have. If the opponent knows you possess a hidden, explosive attack that can target their hip with zero warning, they can never truly relax during a soft dinking rally.
They're constantly on edge.
Yes.
Oh.
And because of that anxiety, their muscles tense up. Their dinks start popping a little too high. They start rushing their footwork.
So you end up dictating the emotional and physical pace of the entire match just by having the weapon in your arsenal.
Exactly. Even during the rallies where you never actually pull the trigger.
It's the threat of violence that wins the piece.
That's a great way to put it.
That is just an incredible tactical advantage. And as we wrap up this deep dive into Lev Neymotin's guide, it leaves me with a thought that extends way beyond the boundaries of a pickleball court.
Oh, definitely.
Because, this entire tactical architecture is built on the profound idea of masking your physical intentions. Keeping a perfectly still face, relaxing your shoulders, eliminating every single microscopic tell in your posture until the final millisecond before you strike. It really makes you wonder, for you listening, how often are we leaking our true intentions in everyday life without even realizing it?
That's a fascinating point.
Think about a high-stakes salary negotiation, or a really difficult, tense conversation with a partner, or a high-pressure job interview. We are constantly giving our internal state away with our posture, a shift in our breathing, or the tension in our jaw.
We leak information constantly.
Exactly. So if you can actively train your nervous system to hide a 60-mile-an-hour topspin attack behind a perfectly calm, boring facade, what other physical tells could you teach yourself to control in the real world?
Hmm.
Or better yet, what hidden intentions could you start learning to read in everyone sitting right across the table from you?
It really raises a fascinating question about human behavior and nonverbal communication, because a high-level match is just a microcosm of how we broadcast our intentions under extreme pressure.
It really is. So the next time you picture a sunny, polite, gentle game of pickleball, look a little closer at the players on the court. Look at the tension in their shoulders. Look at how tightly they're holding the paddle. Because beneath that casual, friendly surface, you might just be looking at a sniper, perfectly disguised, patiently waiting for a green light.